thanks God that we get a platform to influence people and love people and give them insight on what we've learned and help them grow their companies. I pray that you give us the words to say, that we would be concise and clear in our vision for these episodes, and help me and Austin add value to people. And I pray that they would reach a lot of people, and that our platform would grow and YouTube would grow and our podcast would grow and people would reach out and ask questions, and that we can help people, because that's the point of this podcast. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, we are back at it again. Yep. Welcome back to the Glory Boys podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
And I am Darren.
And today, we're going to be catching you guys up to speed. It's been a little while since we've sat down and recorded some podcasts, but been a really crazy few weeks, and we're going to take you guys through those weeks, what we learned, and really all the ins and outs of traveling as a video production company.
So, hey, if you're just joining us for the first time, this podcast is all about talking about the gear that we use, what we've learned in the last 4 years of owning a video production company, doing it as a 50-50 partnership, how to hire people, when to hire people, why we hire people, how to budget yourself properly, how to charge, your clients what you're worth, and how we came up with that system. And there's a lot of really great things that we want to add value to your companies. So if you're just tuning in, we're super excited, and let's dive in.
All right, fam.
Here we are.
We've been everywhere.
We have the whole world. We've traveled the world.
Yeah.
No, not really, but we have traveled a lot. We had a 3-week period where we were gone for legitimately 3 weeks.
Yeah, in a different state, flying 3 weeks in a row, come back Thursday, dump footage, have a day in the office, go through the weekend, and turn around and fly out Monday morning and do it all over again.
Yeah, 3 times in a row.
3 times in a row. And it was great.
It was, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We got to try a lot of really great food.
Yes.
Which is one of the joys of traveling, is you get to go places that have cool food and interesting different types of food that you don't necessarily get here in Omaha in the Midwest. A lot of really cool just breweries and just different businesses and restaurants and stuff that we got to try out in our travels.
Yeah. So we had 3 weeks of travel. Where did we go first?
So first step was Denver, Colorado. Mm-hmm. That was for a shoot with a meat company that we work with, and they are really amazing. They promote ethical raising of animals and antibiotic-free meat, all of that good stuff. So we got to shoot with them, which was really cool because they actually rented out a Verbo in Denver, this massive 4-bedroom Verbo is the entire floor of this building. And so we got to stay there because nobody else was staying there. The rest of the team was from Denver. So they're like, hey, do you just want to stay here? And we're like, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
If you're going to pay to rent the Verbo, why wouldn't we stay there? It was nice because we got to set up our stuff the night before the shoot, have it all ready to go, and really just be able to turn it on and roll.
Yeah, it was cool. They rented the space because the kitchen was very beautiful, and so it was state of the art, and we were able to really set up all of our stuff in the kitchen the night before, make sure lighting was good, and mounting everything, and it was awesome to be able to set it up and test it before the shoot. But yeah, they were like, yeah, there's rooms here and beds, if you want to stay here you can, and we're like, yes, absolutely. It was awesome.
So we shot for 2 days with a butcher and then a chef locally, actually from Denver. It wasn't from Denver, but he lived in Denver, had a restaurant in Denver, and his name was Chef Art, and he was incredible the whole day, just cooking up all these different meats and different marinades, and just it was cool. It's it's an art form, just like what we do. It's just a little bit different.
My favorite part was we got to taste it all.
And we got to test all the different meats that he cooked.
It was so good.
It was amazing. But the best part, my favorite part of the whole trip was
playing with Mario Kart.
Well, okay. All right. So we'll talk about that first. So what do you do when you're in a Verbo?
You have 4,000 square feet of cement floors.
We didn't bring our Switches, so we didn't have our Switches to play. So we're let's go to Target and just look around and see what we find.
Find some toys to play with.
So of course we're in the toy aisle, as every adult man should be.
In Target.
And we found these Mario Kart RC cars.
They were sick.
And they're they're legit. Like they actually do the anti-gravity mode where the wheels turn and they can, slide across the floor and stuff. So we had like the whole floor of the Verbo was like concrete, or it was stone of some sort, like polished stone. And so we got these little Mario Karts, and it was cool because they like actually drift around corners and stuff because it was smooth floors. And so we just like that whole night,
it was
for like 2 hours straight, we're just driving around these Mario Karts.
So much joy. If you want to check it out on our Instagram page, we actually did make like a little like video clip of us like doing different tricks.
Yeah, we like taped the camera. We taped the phone to one of the Mario Karts to get a point of view.
Heck yeah, dude. It was sick.
You gotta. It's what you have to do.
What was your other favorite part?
The other favorite part was, so we shot all day with Chef Art, and he told us, about his restaurant. He had a restaurant like 40 minutes away south of Denver. And we had actually planned to meet up with a couple friends of ours, Thomas and Gina, which is actually a past bride and groom of ours. And anytime they're in Omaha or we're in Denver, because they live in Denver now, like we hit each other up, we go get coffee, whatever. Yeah. It's just a friendship that we've really maintained since the wedding. And so we were talking with Thomas. We're like, hey, we're in town. Would you guys want to go to dinner tonight? And we were talking to Chef Art, and he was telling us about his restaurant. We're like, well, why don't we just check it out? He's like, yeah, if you guys come by, like we'll take care of you. Come on in. And so that's what we did. Yeah. And it was like one of the coolest experiences because, for me, like I haven't really had that experience too often of like a real fine dining kind of experience where the waiters are, hey, the chef recommends that you try this. Like that's not a phrase that you hear at Applebee's where I'm used to, you know what I mean? Like, So
or Taco Bell.
It was a really cool experience of like getting to get a taste of like the finer things, I guess.
Yeah, sure. It was great.
And it was kind of eye opening for me. And they like blessed us. They gave us like the whole smorgasbord of food, and it was incredible.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because Chef Art was just a dude we met. He was like fully tatted and just like a homie, and he was cooking food all day, and we were shooting with him, and he was just like, man, you guys make me feel so comfortable on camera. I'm not used to doing this, but I really enjoy it. And just really maintaining and building a relationship with him throughout the day. And it was really cool because of that, he was fond of us and thought we were great guys and offered us to go to into his world, which we had no idea. We didn't know like what his restaurant was going to be like, but it was like top notch in a really beautiful part of town. And it was just fun because we went there and he literally sent like his head bartender to come over and create like these beautiful cocktails. And then he had one of the waiters, we had like so many people waiting on us and bringing us stuff and just, Chef Art just told me to keep bringing stuff. And so I'd bring like, I didn't even know some of the dishes that we were eating. Like
weird stuff, like, but it was so good.
That shrimp thing.
There was a goat cheese brulee, I remember.
Dude, that
was fire. I don't even like goat cheese, and it was super good.
So good. And then some of the stuff, I've never even heard of.
Ceviche.
Ceviche. I've never even tried ceviche in my life. And then some other like tuna dish and like some dips and just all kinds of stuff. And then we had did you have a steak?
I felt like I had to. He actually serves the meat from the company that we were shooting in Denver. Yeah. So of course I had to try it. I'd been eating their meat all day, but I wanted to try the prime rib. Yeah. Or no, it was a ribeye. Oh yeah. And it was like, of course it was probably the most expensive thing on the menu. But I'm like, I feel like it was cool because we were serving Chef Art all day and like making him feel comfortable and just building that relationship. I didn't feel guilty about that. I feel like that's actually what he wanted was to bless us with the best of the best of what he had. Yeah. And that's just like the cool thing about the client relationships that you really want to pursue and go after is it is like that. It's a kingdom mindset. I feel like,
totally.
So we welcome guests, and we serve them and go above and beyond. And so, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, so it was cool. We ate and got full and hung out and had a great time catching up with our friends. And we got the bill and it was like $290 or something. And they had, did they pay for the whole thing?
They charged us $10.
Oh, so they charged us
so that we could tip the server, of course.
Yeah. So then we obviously tipped generously because we were so blessed by the experience, and it was just such a fun time. Yeah,
and that's definitely not a brag in any way, shape, or form. Like, really, I hope that's an encouragement to you guys, because if you haven't, kind of gotten some of those clients that are willing to pay to fly you somewhere and treat you as a client, you will.
You get there.
You'll get there. Yeah. And just keep working, and it will come. So I want that to be more encouraging than like a, hey, look what we got to do, because I never thought we would. I mean, of course I always thought that we would in my head, but it's really cool to just see it come to fruition. So
heck yeah. All right, where did we go next?
Next stop was LA.
Yeah, we went to LA
for a wedding.
You had never been.
I had never been to LA.
So we flew into LA a little bit early.
Yep.
We had some issues flying because we always seem to run into something, but we were flying United. And we always
That's the problem.
We always fly Southwest. Here, if you take anything from this episode, we're trying to tell you to just fly Southwest, because it's a real thing. People are like, oh, I like this or this about Southwest, but one, it's always the best service. It just always has been. I've flown 100 times. My wife and I have Southwest card. Like, we've always used our points, always flown Southwest. It's incredible. And your baggage,
two free check bags.
Like, you're saving $100, $60, depending
per
on
way. Yeah.
Per way. And then not only that, but their like rules and regulations, they're a lot more like lenient and more service based. I've experienced. I actually used to work at a job where we used the Southwest training methods and implemented them into the industry that I was in, even in coffee and restaurant.
Wow.
Because their service, they were so servanthood focused and customer focused. They use their training methods in a lot of different types of companies. And so I learned a lot early on about Southwest, and I loved them right off the bat. And we've just always experienced great things. But we were flying United that day, and we showed up like 50.
It was like 42 minutes or something before our flight was set to leave.
Yeah.
And their policy is 45.
Yep.
And I get that. And so is Southwest, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But the difference is, if you had walked up to the counter 3 minutes late to a Southwest counter, they would have gone and gotten someone to take your bag and personally run it out to the plane.
Yeah.
United was just like, nope, can't do it.
Sorry.
I'm like, there's 40 minutes left before our flight leaves. Like, you're telling me you can't have someone walk the 300 feet. I see the plane. Like, our airport is not big, people.
Omaha is tiny. So that's the thing. If we were in like Denver or Chicago,
then I get it.
But it was a different.
And that's what those policies are for.
Yeah.
Is for those types of airports.
Yes.
So anyways, we got delayed. We had to actually rebook a later flight. Thank God there was a flight like not 8 hours later, but like 3 hours later.
Right.
So we went and got some food at Perkins. It was like 5 a.m. because our flight was set to leave at like 5:30.
Right.
So we're like, what do we do for 3 hours at 5 a.m.? So we went to Perkins, got some breakfast.
Yeah.
Came back, checked in, all good. We got there Monday, and then the wedding was on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so Austin has never been to LA. I used to live there for like 8 months, and I worked at Jimmy Kimmel Live. And so I was like, oh, I want to like show them a little bit of the Hollywood. And it is what it is. Like, it's Hollywood. But you got to like see the stars and go check out stuff. And like, so we walked the stars and we went and hung out, and we like got some food at this place and just hung out on Hollywood Boulevard. And we did that for like a couple hours, and really that's all you need, and you can move on with life.
I saw it all.
And what were your thoughts initially just on Hollywood and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as people make it sound, I feel like.
Sure.
But I mean, we went during the day on a Monday.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I'm sure it would have been a lot busier, a lot more people. That probably would have been annoying to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of like New York City. I just hated.
Yeah.
So not a huge fan of like when I can't walk because there's so many people, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw it. The weather was just incredible.
Yeah.
That was like the beauty of everything out there, landscape wise, and even the buildings and all of that stuff was my favorite part, and the weather for sure.
And then the wedding was, again, so we went to our hotel that night, and then the wedding was in Malibu, like on a cliff. So, I mean, you think of like the most beautiful place a wedding could be. It was this.
What was it called? It was like Pacific View Ridge or something like that.
Yeah, something fancy.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pacific View Ridge sounds ugly.
Yeah. In order to get to the venue, you had to drive like 25 minutes, like up a mountain essentially. So it was
single lane.
Gorgeous.
They have like mirrors on the corners because you would just fall off the cliff if someone was coming around.
It's kind of stressful.
It was.
Because you're like looking and like trying to see all the beauty, but you're also like trying not to fall off the cliff. So
yeah, me, the first timer out there, I'm like just soaking it all in, but I have to keep my eyes on the road. I do remember when we first like rounded there's a corner on Pacific Coast Highway where you like first see like the ocean.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Austin cried.
A little bit. I did tear up a little bit.
Yeah, but it is beautiful. I mean, it's just like God's creation. You're like, poof, here it is, and it is straight gorgy.
Yep, and the whole time the weather was just beautiful.
Yeah,
it was 75 and sunny.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So yeah, we shot a friend's wedding out there, and that was really fun.
Yeah, that was great.
That was on Tuesday. The venue was absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
It was like right on a point, and then there were 2 hills or 2 mountains. I guess they're not hills out there; they're actually mountains. 2 mountains, and like the valley was like right down the middle, so you like just look straight off to the Pacific Ocean. So
yeah, we got a lot of really beautiful drone footage for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was LA.
And then what was the next one?
The next one was Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama, which we found out we should have flown into Birmingham.
Yeah. Yep.
So we were in Prattville, Alabama, shooting a spray foam insulation company.
Yep.
And honestly, it was a lot of fun. The guys were awesome.
Yep.
Just cool. Again, working with companies with similar values is just great.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we just got to kind of hang out. It was different because the Denver shoot, the whole team was female for the most part, which was just an interesting dynamic. And then the Alabama shoot, everyone was dudes. So it was kind of nice just getting
homies.
Bro out with the guys.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool because in the 3 weeks, we do a lot of different types of things and different types of work. We don't just shoot weddings. Actually, we shoot less weddings than we ever have. Mm-hmm. And we're shooting, like we just said, we shot a spray foam insulation company. And then in Denver, we shot essentially a meat company. And so it's cool to see the different things that we've been able to do. And now like finding out what we really like to do. I think that's always the ultimate goal, is to really focus on what you want to do. Yeah. And when you get to a place in your company, it's really awesome that you get to kind of pick and choose. I never thought in a million years we would be interested in shooting, construction, or home builds or things that are in, companies that are involved in the home building process. And it's actually kind of fun. Yeah. Like, I actually quite like it. So it's really exciting.
For sure. And then, so that was it for like our travels.
Yeah.
But then we actually had Carrie and Bray traveled.
Yeah, for the first time we had a second team.
For the first time. So that was really cool because it was, it's as you guys grow your companies and you hire and you delegate and you empower, there is like a level of, you have to kind of give away your baby a little bit by a little bit.
It's really hard, by the way.
And that was a major step of like, we're working with one of our biggest clients. They want to send a team out to Massachusetts, and we just told them, hey, we have been traveling for the past 3 weeks and we miss our wives and our families. And like, we're not really down to travel again. However, like, we have a team of 100% capable photographer and videographer team that we would love to send out. They're down to do it. They'd love to do it. Are you cool with that? And the client was like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The nice thing was, it was that kind of construction industry. Well, Bray has been shooting for a construction magazine for the past year, and just really doing a great job. So I had already and the client had already seen that work. So she already knew the quality of Bray's work. Yep. And so it was just, it was a cool experience getting to kind of, send them out of the nest and let them go take a trip and learn all the things that we've learned in our travels. And,
it was really cool. Yeah. They kept posting on social and like, just the glory girls, like crushing it. And I'm like, yo, that's so fire. Like, they were a little nervous, traveling with gear and flying with gear and not losing stuff and, staying in that witch town. What's it called?
Salem, Massachusetts.
Staying in Salem, Massachusetts, which they aren't known for anything other than like killing witches back in the 1800s or something.
Pretty much.
So anyway.
But they got to go to the ocean, and Bray dropped her phone in the ocean.
Yeah.
Which was got a new phone. Blessing.
It was a forced upgrade.
She had an iPhone 8 Plus.
Yeah,
so
it was time to go.
It was time. So yeah, it was just like I feel like a little level up just for all of us getting to just have a second team, have it not have to necessarily be both of us on a shoot.
It's really cool to get to a point where your clients can trust your full team as your company, because we are more than just Darren and Austin as a company. And so it's hard when you've worked with your clients for multiple years and they're used to working with you, or they want you to ensure that the quality of product that's going to come out with your team is kind of difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you almost have to just like take a leap of faith on your team, but also like risk the relationship with the client by letting them do that. And it's a big part of the growing pains, but once we did it, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It was like hiring. It's like, how do you hire? This is so scary. Can we afford it? Can we do this? Can we do that? But then we did it and we're like, wow, that made so much sense. When we sent them to Boston, we're like, yeah, it would make sense if we went, we'd feel a little bit more safe about it. But there was something I think that you and I were able to learn in sending them and like letting, like you said, let them out of the nest.
Yeah.
And they crushed it. And the client is super happy and they loved everything that they did. And I think it was a big growth opportunity for our whole team.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely hire some people.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you don't, then you're going to be the one traveling all the time. And it is fun and it's great, but it's not as glamorous as your travelpreneurs on Instagram make it look like.
OROUS.
Oh gosh, it took me a little while.
It's okay.
It's not as glamorous.
It's not.
And it is tiring. And if you have a family, if you have a wife or kids or a husband, it's time away.
Yeah.
And it was hard, like for 3 straight weeks.
You have a pregnant wife.
Yep.
And you have a year,
almost a year and a half.
Almost a year and a half year old.
Yep.
And I just at the time still building my house. My wife's at home working full time pretty much as a nurse right now. Just like crazy hours and crazy things. She's in school and then I'm gone. It's like there's so many things. You're just feeling the weight of life and being gone that much for 3 weeks. Definitely, it was definitely eye opening for sure.
Yeah.
Because we value our time with our wives and our families, and we have this isn't just our life. We have a lot of things outside of this. It's really fun to travel. We get to go experience really cool things and meet awesome people, and it's always a blessing, and I love it. But it's just a lot more fun when we can, maybe someday, or we will be able to like bring our families along.
Yeah,
and that's the goal for sure. Kind of the goal, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that value, it all comes back to values, and that's part of why I think it's half and half why we sent Bray and Carrie to Massachusetts.
Totally.
I think it was just as much it was a force. It forced us to delegate and to actually empower, which we needed. And it was a nudge in that direction. But I think just as much, it was also us standing firm to our values of we have families and this is, it absolutely is a priority. It's a very high one. It pays our bills. It keeps us, it keeps lights on in our houses.
Yeah.
But our family actually comes before that. And so we had to just say no more right now. Like we need a break from this.
Yep. This
doesn't fall in line with our values of putting family first. And so we're going to send a team. So and it worked out. Everything went great.
Sure did.
And so what else have we like learned from traveling? So number 1, fly Southwest whenever possible.
Yeah, seriously. Just do it.
Yeah. 2 check bags for free is amazing. Cause when you're trying to put lights and all that stuff, it gets heavy really quick.
Yeah.
And if you can split it up, keep everything under 50 pounds, then you can actually pack quite a bit of gear for free.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you definitely want to buy one of those like little weight, like baggage, like weight things. We need to get one because as we're packing gear, we don't really know how much it weighs until we get to the airport.
And then we have to be the guys to be shuffling things in and out of suitcases.
This one's 62 pounds and this one's 44 pounds. So we can grab 6 pounds from this one and then we got to put some stuff in our backpacks. And that's kind of funny, like a little thing that we've learned. But
yeah, so if you're going to be traveling a lot, definitely get a good big suitcase.
Yeah.
Get some travel stands. TSA pre-check, I've heard is really great. We really need to do that. But everyone's been telling us you got to get TSA pre-check.
Yeah,
which is fly often.
It's like $80. You have to wait like 6 months or something, but we need to just do it because you don't have to take your shoes off. Like little things when you travel a lot just get annoying. Like taking your freaking shoes off, your belt, like you don't have to take your laptop and like electronics out of the bag. Like you just get to go through a lot faster. And when you're traveling a lot, that stuff is definitely a stressor. So fly Southwest and just be smart when you're traveling and packing. What was another thing?
Another thing I would say is get a travel credit card. If you're able to be responsible with it, get a credit card that gives you travel points.
Yeah.
And book your own travel, your own flight, hotel, and a rental car.
Yeah.
And then submit that receipt for reimbursement.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. And honestly, that's just what I would do is book your own, because then you know, and don't be an idiot. Obviously, don't go and book a $600 a night hotel, but like you get to book your own hotel, make sure it's in a good area, make sure it's not going to have bed bugs. It'd be sketchy. We've ran into that before. So book your own Airbnb or hotel, book a rental car. If you're in an area that could ever get snow ever, book an SUV.
Just always book
If there's an SUV, just book an SUV.
No,
if your client can afford to pay for you to fly somewhere to shoot a video, they can afford an extra $80 on a car rental.
Yeah.
When you're working with clients that are going to fly you somewhere, typically they're clients with a big enough budget that they don't worry about things like that.
Yeah.
So just get that out of your mind that that's an issue. Book yourself a rental car.
Just not a CX-5.
And just like set the standard that like, hey, if you're going to fly me somewhere, hotel, rental car, and flight. Costco Travel is great for that because you can book all three, and it's typically a really good deal. What else?
With Costco Travel and about the car, and it seems silly because Austin and I like cars and we like nice cars. Don't be the type of person that travels and you're just like, oh, I'll take whatever they give or whatever.
I'll take the cheapest everything.
Which I get, like being mindful of budget, but you gotta take into account like just practicalities. Like we ran into an issue where when we flew into Montgomery, Alabama, they didn't even have SUVs or trucks.
None available.
They only had
we had a Dodge Charger.
A Dodge Charger, which is like a fine car. Sure, like it's fine. But literally we spent 15, 20 minutes like trying to Tetris our gear into the car so it would fit. Like it was very not practical. It was a terrible experience. And so even though like, we've just learned that early on, just always get a SUV, but don't do a Mazda CX-5 because it's trash.
Tell us how you really feel.
I'd freaking hate anything that's a crossover.
All right, you had 4 people though with you.
Yeah,
so
I don't care.
If you have 2 people,
trash.
a CX-5 is probably fine.
That's not
we go with standard SUV. For us personally, we go with standard SUV. We've never had an issue with it. It's usually like a Ford Edge. Most of the time we get a Toyota 4Runner, and those are awesome.
They're great. Or an Atlas.
An Atlas.
An Atlas is fire.
Cars with power outlets in them are actually really nice because if you need it in a pinch, you can charge stuff. But book an SUV. Book a decent hotel.
Yeah. I care. I'm a little bit more of the more bougie one where Austin's like, I'm down for whatever. And I'm like, let me take a look. Like, what's the breakfast look like at the hotel? Like, is it actually breakfast? Or they just have like a muffin that's been sitting in this little case for 6 months? And so like,
savage.
I want like, if it's not updated, like if it's not modern looking, like, that place is old and gross, and like the beds are old, the sheets are gross. Like I'm not about that life. And so definitely look into it. We don't book the best and craziest, but we don't book the worst. Like we deserve to stay in somewhere that's clean, has, if there's breakfast there or something, that's always really nice. But just take care of yourself when you're traveling. It's important. Traveling's already really hard on your body. And so if you stay somewhere good with a good bed and somewhere that's clean and has good food, that definitely makes your experience a lot better.
Absolutely.
And don't feel bad about it.
I would also say, keep track of your receipts.
Yes.
For meals, things like that, gas to submit for reimbursement.
Yeah.
The client is paying for you to be out there the whole time. You're actually probably not billing them for the time that you're sleeping and that you're away from home. So don't be afraid to make them pay for any expenses that you incurred while being on their project.
Yeah.
Typically, I mean, we've never had a client
like push back
say
on
anything,
it.
But
and the thing is, if we go buy like a pair of shoes or something, or buy, we at the wedding, like we went and bought new shirts and pants for the wedding because we wanted to look nice. We didn't charge the client that, you know what I mean? But there are like the food expenses for sure. So 3 meals a day, if you want to pick a per diem or figure out a number that you want to stay within and budget to be mindful, that's fine. Like whatever works for you. But definitely bill your client for your 3 meals a day, 100%.
I think another tip I would say is just being mindful of your departure and arrival times. There was a couple of our flight times that were less than ideal because we just kind of booked what we thought looked good, but just really think through your schedule what you have going on when you get back, what you have going on before. Like if you have a super, super long day before and then you're trying to take a 4 a.m. flight and you shoot that day, like it's probably not a good idea. So yeah, just be smart when you're booking flights. Give yourself enough time. If that means you need to stay an extra night, like do that. Don't put yourself in a weird position because you're afraid of spending more of the client's budget or whatever. You want to make it more convenient for them. So you're going to inconvenience yourself for that. Just make sure that at the end of the day, like this is going to be an enjoyable project for you. And you're not going to hate it the whole time you're gone because you wish you'd flown out the day before and gotten good rest. And now you're really tired and it sucks. And so that would be.
There's a time where we flew to Georgia and we had shot a wedding all day. And then we were coming back very early the next day to shoot another wedding. Well, like we were so dead and tired that we literally fell asleep at the gate in our chairs sitting there. And we had missed our flight because we fell asleep. Like, and so that was awesome. Like
nobody knows that.
Austin was really excited.
Yeah, that was the worst day of my life.
So anyway, the reason why we were saying that is like, don't put yourself in a position where you fall asleep at the gate. That's just silly. Thankfully, we had a second team and they covered it and it was fine. And Austin, we flew back in and Austin went and shot the rest of the day and the wedding film was amazing. So it's all good. But however, just don't put yourself in those positions where you're trying to cram too much in. Just be mindful. It's again, taking care of yourself. Make sure you sleep, you eat, and just don't fall asleep at the gate.
Yep.
That's the episode. Don't fall asleep at the gate.
There you go.
Yeah, we've never shared that before.
Nope.
I think it's been long enough. So
I guess she probably doesn't watch our podcast, so we're probably fine.
It's all good. Stuff happens.
All right. Well, that's been a little bit of recap of our travels. I hope that some of this can benefit you as you go forward. Book jobs with clients that want to pay to fly you out to all sorts of cool places. And hopefully this helps just make travel easier. Traveling is supposed to be fun. And when there's little things that get in the way of it and just it causes headaches, it makes it not fun anymore.
Yeah. So if this is encouraging, or maybe it's not encouraging, where you hear us like talking about how we're flying all these places and we're complaining about little things, but really we just, like you can travel and you can get these types of clients. It just takes time. But it almost seemed like it was impossible to get a client to pay for your plane and your travel and all that stuff, your food. You're like, what? But the first time that we experienced that, it felt weird. But it can happen for you. I would just say you are valuable. What you bring to the table, the camera gear that you bring and use, your talents and your gifts and your mind. And so don't devalue yourself. You will get these opportunities and you are valuable. Don't think that you have to like front all of this cash to be able to do and be a part of these types of shoots. Like, oh, I want a travel wedding, so I'm going to pay a bunch of money. There is a time and place. I think when you're starting, you do things for free or for cheap, or you kind of front some of the cost to get some of that work so that you have the work to show that you are a traveling video person. But I think you get to a point where you need to charge what you're worth.
And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, man, I just wish that I had a client like that, a client that would, fly me out somewhere for a shoot. You will. Yeah. And you absolutely will. And we never thought that that would be a thing. It started with us. We would pay someone to let us fly somewhere to shoot. And then it kind of graduated to, okay, we'll kind of do cool shoots for free. And then we stopped doing that so much. And you kind of just continue to move forward, and then you have a client hit you up and they're like, hey, I want to fly you to Denver for a shoot. So don't get discouraged. Let this be an encouragement. We've been doing this full time for 4 years now, and it doesn't have to take that long. It can definitely happen faster, but just be encouraged. This definitely can and will come your way, and you will get to fly cool places and travel cool places. But
that's right.
Hopefully this helps you as you do that and avoid some of the mistakes that we've made along the way.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, definitely hit us up. Any platform at Glory Visuals. We'd love to answer any questions or any like travel tips, or, even like certain links or certain companies that we like to fly through, travel through. Like we talked about, like Costco travel. Definitely just get a Costco membership because it's the best thing in the world. And this is sponsored by Costco.
Stop.
I love Costco so much. I built half my house with Costco. Anyway, Costco's great, but we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so appreciative of each and every listener. We know that everyone that's listening to this is either starting a company or in their own company, and we use this platform to reach out and share the things that we've learned, so that we can empower you guys to not go through some of the things that we went through, because we've been through the biggest ups and biggest downs. Yeah, and we just want to let you guys know that you're not alone in this journey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in to the Glory Boys podcast. If you're on YouTube, it would mean the world to us if you subscribe to the channel down below.
Yep.
Hit the like button if you like this podcast episode, and hit the bell to be notified anytime we drop videos. Ding! And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating. Let us know what you think of the show. We always love reading your feedback. That's all we have for you this week. We'll see you in the next episode.
Peace out.